Products that are made in manufacturers can be a serious pain to automate. You have to deal with the belt logistics, and your factories normally take up a huge amount of real estate. After today's video, you won't have to worry about any of that. We're going to build a blueprint step by step that will allow you to put down an entire computer factory with one click of your nifty little RGB mouse. This is certainly possible and maybe easier if we use the excellent Crystal Computer or Caterium Computer alternate recipes, but we are going to use the traditional computer recipe for this factory today. However, you will need a few early alternate recipes for this design to work for you. Copper alloy ingot, cast screw, and iron wire. It also assumes you're importing the necessary plastic from elsewhere. This blueprint will give you a full manufacturer's worth of computer, 2.5 computers per minute. Let's get into it. We'll start by lining up the inputs of our computer blueprint with some conveyor walls. We're going to bring in a couple different things here into the factory: steel, copper, and plastic. On this floor, we'll be using steel and copper, and we'll be stacking them like this to bring them in on top of each other. We need 2 smelters worth of iron ore, so we're going to get that out first, and we're going to line up our smelter with the center of this first row of squares and put it right here lined up with that second input. We're going to do 2 of these. And then we're going to have 1 foundry because we're going to be using a copper alloy ingot recipe, which allows us to make enough copper ingots with just 1 machine. We want them to be lined up like this because we're going to bring it down belts here, and we're going to bring copper on top, and we want just enough room to get a lift from the row on top into the foundry. And if you line them up like this, this will use the minimum amount of room to accomplish that. And we're going to put our iron input in here, and we're going to have the iron run along the bottom. So all we need is the splitter that lines up with these inputs here, and then this one is going to be iron. Let me just show you this alternate recipe while we're at it. We're going to use the copper alloy ingot alternate recipe. It takes in copper ore and iron ore to output 100 copper ingots per minute. It's very nice because it uses fewer machines to make that much copper than if you were to use the traditional recipe in a smelter. So we'll just hook up those belts. Here, one of the lessons I've learned while doing blueprints is if you don't hook up all the little belts right away, you forget. So I recommend that you do it right away. So we're going to hook this part up into the wall, but we're going to make this in a way where we can stack a bunch of these, or maybe line up a bunch of these blueprints in a row. This belt will be able to take inputs in from this end and then go through any number, X number of computer blueprints, however many you want to make. So we're going to set it up that way for the system to be extensible. You can get really as many as you want. You're only limited by your inputs and the materials to put down the blueprints. And so eventually, if we stack these in a row, we'd bring this belt down here and just attach it to the other side of that wall hole right there. So now let's put in our copper. Let's get our copper input going in as well, and we use the old splitter stack to get this lined up properly. So if we have 3 splitters, that will line up with a second floor wall hole like this. You can bring the belt over, and there you go. And then you can just delete the ones on the bottom. It's a quick, easy way to line things up. Now you might think this is a little too close, and I don't like the clip, and this is one of the things in this design. It's pretty much a no clip design. There's a couple minor of them in here, but this is one thing I will do because it actually looks pretty good. If you put a lift on this machine right here and then turn it around, it will join up with that. You can actually hear it beep right there. And so that will split off the copper into that lift. And I know this lift is clipping into that splitter, but I think it really just kind of looks like one unit. So I don't mind doing it that way. So easy as that. We have our iron ore and our copper ore into the machines. Like I said, this is now set up. If you wanted to line these up in a row, you just take a belt and the last splitter and just run them straight to attach to the wall holes on that side. No problem. We still have a good amount of work to do. And so we're going to try to make this first floor the exact height that we need. This is 8 meters high here. The foundry is 9 meters high. So we'll get out a 1 meter wall. So if you use a regular 1 meter foundation on this 1 meter wall, you will end up clipping through all the machines like that. You can see there how it's clipping through. We don't want that. Now you can do it and it will work, but you know, I'm kind of a purist. So we're gonna get out a roof, and then we're gonna bring that over here in the same way. And then if you look in the same place where that was clipped all the way through, you just have this very, very minor clipping. That's the only thing that you have, because that part of the foundry sticks up above the hitbox a little bit. And the rest of the first floor will be 5 constructors, 2 for screws that use the cast screw recipe, so directly from iron ingots to screws, skipping the iron rod step, and then 3 constructors for copper sheet. So these 2 constructors will be for cast screws, and we just need to leave enough room to put a splitter here on the end. And so we actually can move these back one more spot. Right there is the smallest you can be and still fit a splitter in bounds like this. And then we're going to hit our middle mouse button to grab another constructor, and then we're going to put this right next door. We need 3 more constructors. We actually need to make these move back a little bit. We're going to have to bring a belt along here to get it up to higher floors, so we actually need to leave a little bit more room on these machines than we did for the other ones. And so we're going to have another one of these here lined up, and then we'll have a machine lined up here on the edge as well going this way that will also use copper. Let's hook up these copper sheets first. We'll just get out this splitter here, line it up here, get those belts in. Like I said, don't forget, put in your belt, and then we need another splitter here. Then we'll get our recipes on here. We are making copper sheets. Copy that, paste that, and paste that. So we have copper sheets. And now we're going to go over here. These should be iron ingots. And then we're going to hook these up to these machines here, which will take cast screw alternate recipe. So this is the recipe that lets you make screws directly from iron ingots. And this really helps when you're trying to fit designs into a small area, because normally you have to make iron rods first and then turn those into screws, which gives you another layer of machines, which we really can't fit in this type of design. So we'll get out our mergers here to set this up, and we need to have these very close to this machine because we need to fit a merger and a splitter across here. So we're gonna get at our merger and have the output go towards that machine across the way, and then we need to have this soft clipping into that machine. Put your belt in there, and then we'll hook up the belt into this merger like this. Now we need to use a splitter here, and we want the inputs just like it is, coming that direction. Put it right there in between and hook up these little belts. And we'll use another splitter as well here. Even though we could have the belt go straight in, we need to have the splitter because we're going to have a lift off of that splitter up to the second floor here later. So now we have our inputs going into our machines for 2 machines worth of screws, 3 machines worth of copper sheets. Let's start going on our second floor. One of the challenges of blueprints is fitting things into the blueprint machine. The space isn't that big, and in this case, we're struggling to get it in height-wise. We have a 9-meter foundry, an 11-meter assembler, and a 12-meter manufacturer, and my awesome math skills add that up to be 32 meters, the same height as the blueprint machine. So we need to be very careful about adding in extra space in the blueprint and not having it extend out the top. So we can't just put on our foundation here, and if you don't care about things clipping into each other, then don't worry about it, because you'll have this look here going like this. You'll have something similar on the second floor. And some people care, some people don't care. I kind of care. So we're going to use a little bit of a trick to fit things in, although it does throw off our alignment later. But we're going to use roofs for this. I'm going to use the flat tar roofs for this because they use cement. I always carry about 4,000 literally things of cement at least whenever I'm walking around, so I have plenty of this on hand. Of course, you can use any material that you like, including glass, which will give you a little bit more light into your build. Probably would have been a better choice for a YouTube video. We do need to bring in a raw input onto this floor, which is our plastic. We'll be importing that from another factory. We're going to put that on the second level. So we're going to use our walls here, and then we're going to bring out our conveyor walls as well, and we'll bring in the plastic on that second level, and you'll see why here in a moment. And so we're going to line up 3 assemblers here to make our circuit boards. And so we're going to line these up. We don't want to be too close, so we have room to bring a lift down in. So we're going to bring this right here, and let's just see how that works. So if we hook up a lift to this, And we'll see, and we'll flip this around because we're going to kind of clip it directly into the splitter like we did. I think that is good. Okay, perfect. Let's get out 2 more assemblers. We're going to have 3 assemblers here making circuit boards. We'll get the copper sheet input going here. And one of the good things about assemblers, there actually is enough room, even if you have them right together, for a floor hole right in between them like that. So we're going to get a floor hole, and then we're going to have our lift come out right there. And then we'll put a splitter down right here to split it off to either side. Make sure you get your input pointed the right direction. We'll hook up the belts to the machines for now, but not in between. So we're going to bring in our plastic here as well. And so we're going to use our little splitter stack trick. We're going to bring in the plastic from over here, and we're still going to set up this floor to have the plastic be able to run all the way through so we can stack a bunch of these blueprints in a row. We need to line this up, and this will clip for a second, but once you bring it up, it will not. And same thing here. And then we'll take out these bottom 2 on each of these levels. It's just an easy, quick way to get everything to line up. And then we can bring the belts through. And then if you want to bring plastic in, you want to line up a bunch of these blueprints in a row, you'll just hook up this plastic output to the other end of the wall hole here, which will be present if you do a bunch of them in a row. I'm not perfect. We're going to redo all these machines and move them back just one spot. I got it one too close. You can see it clips through the belt down there, and I don't like that. So we have the inputs for our circuit boards, and we have the inputs for our screws done. We need to bring plastic upstairs because that's also a direct ingredient into the manufacturer. And the last thing we need to do is get our cable together, and we haven't touched that at all. So what we're going to do is bring our iron ingots up here and feed 2 constructors worth of making iron wire, and then 1 constructor making cable on the top floor with the manufacturer. So let's get going on that. Let's get out our constructors for our iron wire here, and we're going to put them right against this edge and make sure we leave enough room for a lift on the end. And to bring this up, we need to get our iron ingots from the end here. So we're going to put a lift right here on the end and face it this way. And then we're going to get it into this splitter that we're about to put down right here. And we'll bring it in on this side. I need to make sure that that's lined up. I think it is, right? Yes. Okay, good. Now we'll get these little belts in here. And then we have an issue here because we can put a floor hole in here, but because we're on roofs, the lifts don't line up with the floor holes, and they're the wrong height for hooking up into this. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of clipping, which I'm okay with. Like I said, this is minimal clipping, not a no clipping build. So what you can do is if you put it on the end that is sticking out of the blueprint, that doesn't work. But what you can do is actually sit the lift on the ground like this and then bring it up like this. And then that will attach itself to that splitter. So we need to find a way to do that to where the bottom part lines up with this. So here's a little trick you can use. So if you get out a half any foundation, but I'm just using a half foundation for this example, you can get out your lift and just set it on this foundation. It's the right height for this now. If you go right there, very nice. And then you can bring the belt over into that lift and then just delete that lift or delete that foundation. And then there you go. You have your iron ingots coming in here. It is clipping a little bit through the edge there, but I'm okay with that. And so now we have our iron ingots going into our machines, which are making iron wire. So let's gather up our circuit board output, which is here on these assemblers. We didn't put on the recipe, so let's do that real quick before we forget. Very important to do these things where you don't forget. I'm a very forgetful person, and I always end up having a couple machines that don't have recipes at the end of any big build. So do it when you remember. Okay, so we have circuit boards on. We need to gather up their output. We're gonna use these mergers. We can't get them that close because of the roof, so we're gonna put them right here. I just edited it out, but I just had an auto save, and I don't know about you guys, but my save is getting pretty long these days. I think that I am averaging probably about 15 seconds to 20 seconds per save, which is pretty disruptive, to say the least. But hey, that's the price you pay for building kind of big. Okay, so there's the output for our circuit boards. We have this coming together pretty nicely. There's been some really weird bugs if you have the custom color swatch on. It's been putting mine down as all black because that was the swatch I had on before the update 7 update. Even if I have this, I have this set as standard and it's not using those colors. But then constructors, for some reason, aren't even doing that. It's like a bug of a bug. And then they're turning the kind of traditional orange. And then I have to just wave this at them. I didn't even click. And then they switch to black. Very weird. Anyways, at least I figured out how to make everything the same color. And we're going to get the outputs of these, kind of like my old compact manifold where you have this little scorpion set up here, where you just have it go up a couple of notches out the back, and then you join them up in the middle. Then all we need to do is stack up a merger or two here in the middle and get everything the right height. We're gonna have it go out that far side. The output comes out over here, and then just delete the mergers in the middle and have your belts go straight in. Like so, and then we'll have the lift on this side bringing it up to the top floor. Now let's get our copper sheets up from the bottom floor to make sure we're feeding them into our circuit boards, which is this lift right here. So let's go downstairs and check out what we need to do. So here is the hole. We'll just put that lift in here, like so. All right, so together, our copper sheets we're gonna get from this constructor, and this constructor. So we gotta put on some lifts and gather them up to get into that input, and that's going to be pretty tough, but we'll figure it out. So we're going to put on our lifts, go up 2, get everything at the same height, and get it over the machine, most importantly. We also have this little light right in front that I don't really want to clip everything into. Let's see if we can do a little something with some ceiling mounts here. So let's get out a ceiling mount, and I mean, you do automatically get ceiling mounts when you go through like that. Sometimes they're a little bit hard to line up, especially when you're hovering, you can't quite see where they are. So let's get out a ceiling mount here and let's see what we can do. We have this lined up like this. Let's see if we can hook up this belt to that. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, we can. Okay, good. All right, and we even missed the little light. Perfect. Okay. So then what we need is we need to merge this in with this and then merge that in here. So we can put a merger right on the end of this, which is probably a pretty good idea. And then we can bring this one and go straight in. That doesn't seem too bad. Okay, that's good. Those two. So now we have, try to get a merger between these two, and we'll use another little ceiling mount. Try the same trick here. Let's give it a try. Like this. I think that's about the right spot. I think we need it one further back, like there. Very nice. Okay, I think then if we get this belt, hook it up here, get a merger here on the end going that direction, here like this. Oh, now it's hard to get in between. Okay, and then we just hook up this merger to that merger, like that. We're good to go, and we didn't clip through anything. Amazing. So that is copper sheets sorted and circuit boards sorted. We have our screws here we need to gather up to take to the top floor, but we'll do that once we get the top floor on, because we're going to take it directly through the second floor to the top floor. So that means we need to put on another level. So let's get our 1 meter walls out here, and we need to do 3, I think. And that will give us at the right level to put our roof on. Okay, and the first thing I'll do is get out a manufacturer just to test to make sure it's the right height and it won't go over. Okay, there we go. So it turns blue, that means you can build it. Excellent. So we're good to go there height-wise. And so we want to do the same thing on this floor. The bottom floor, we take in copper and iron, and it goes all the way through. If we want to stack them, we take in plastic here. It goes all the way through if we want to line them up. We need to do the same thing with the output of the manufacturer so we can gather it all up at one end. So we'll put in a conveyor wall hole here, and we'll just use this one just to keep it lined up. And we'll do the same thing where you'll have a belt that will be hooked up into the other side of that if you want to line up a bunch in a row. So let's get out our manufacturer and put that down and then build around it, because it's so big and we need to leave enough room for a belt to get out the back there and for a conveyor belt to run along the side. And so I think this is a good spot. Let's make sure we can get a belt out of here. Okay, yes we can. Let's get out our merger and make sure we have the output pointing in the right direction, like this. It needs to be a little bit off this wall so we can hook up this belt. And then we can take this belt and it won't line up straight. And these are things that if building and not in a blueprint I would not tolerate, but since our space is so limited, you have to do things a little bit like this at times, and I don't like the way that it looks, but that's what we're gonna do. So hook that in there like that. And then if we want to connect this with a bunch of blueprints in a row, we can just bring the belt down there, hook it into the other side of this wall, and off you go. So here's our manufacturer. It's pretty big. And if you notice, it actually physically sticks out of the top of the manufacturer, but the hitbox in terms of measuring purposes is 12 meters high, so it falls inside the blueprint maker. So lucky for us, we can squeeze all this stuff in one blueprint. So the first thing we're gonna do is bring up our plastic, which is coming in right here, and we're gonna have it go directly into this first hole here on the manufacturer. Actually, let's put the recipe on here. We're just using our normal computer recipe: circuit boards, cables, plastic, and screws. What we're gonna do here for our plastic is add an additional splitter right here, and then we're gonna split off the plastic. Look up this belt before we forget. And split off the plastic from right here up through a floor hole to this level. We'll get our lift into this floor hole here like so. We'll get our output on this end lined up and in. Okay, one of the 4 down. Plastic is in, almost there. Not actually true. We have a decent amount of belt work left to do, but 1 is down. It makes you feel good. While I have you here, I also have videos on one-click factories for heavy modular frames and crystal oscillators and lots of other good stuff, so be sure to check out my channel after you're done with the video. Kind of the trickiest one here is screws, and I think we have a plan for that, and that is to bring these around here and up through the floor. There's a little bit of room right in here, so let's get that done first. We're gonna get this in through this floor up here like this, but there's not enough room to bring the belt because we have the constructor right there, so we need to get it up off the ground. So let's get a lift in right here. We're gonna point this end this direction, and we're gonna bring it up to this height and then point that end that direction so we can hook it up to a lift coming down from the other floor. You can't quite line up things coming out of splitters on the edge of blueprints, so you have to do a little bit of manual lining up like that. So there you go, that's as good as you can do. I have to put away some of my design principles here when we're trying to squeeze things in the blueprints. So let's get a floor hole in right here, which should help us line up with this lift that we just put in right here. So this should be an input like this, and then this belt should go right into there. And then we'll put a floor hole for this directly above, and then we're gonna put this in through to here. Like that. We're gonna have the output come this direction, then we're going to have this come over and into this last open input. Go in the middle, back 2. You have a nice right angle. Okay, now that is our screws coming in around from there up here into our manufacturer. So now we just need our circuit boards and our cable. So our circuit boards are right here coming out this end. And so we are going to put a lift on over here and make this go to the ceiling. We're gonna put another floor hole right here. I know that's a little off to the side, but if we don't, then it's gonna clip through this assembler. So we're gonna get a lift in here, make sure it's an input, and then leave it there like that. And then that is good. It doesn't clip through the assembler, and we should be good to go. We'll hook up this belt. I could probably use a ceiling mount to get this right. Okay, fine. I'll do it. I'll use the ceiling mount. I'll be that guy. Go back 2, like so, and then we'll hook up this belt to there. Okay, fine, that's a little bit better. All right, right angle. So then that will be our circuit boards coming up here into this machine. So I'll get this lift going. Oops, wrong direction. Get this lift going here, and hope that plugs into the machine. It doesn't say it's too invalid shape. Of course it does. Ugh. Well, these are the little things you have to deal with these type of designs. They're really quite annoying. And so now we will figure out how to do that. Okay, I think we have enough room to move this floor hole over one like half step. So not right on here, but right there. And I think we can do that. Of course, I've already set up the ceiling mounts and everything for that one, but whatever, fine. And I don't think that really clips through there, does it? No, it doesn't. It's like just touching it. Okay, perfect. All right, so now that should work. So if we put this in facing that way like that, then this belt should go in. Yes. Okay. So there's our circuit boards. Well, not really. We got to hook this up again. We got to move this one. Okay, there we go. That's for circuit boards. Okay, that's good. Now all we need is our cable, and then we will have our design locked in. So we need a constructor for cable on this floor. We have plenty of room up here, and our wire is coming out right here. So our wire comes out from this direction, like this, so we can get a floor hole right there and get this figured out. So that's right on that break. That's how I like to do it, is stick a lift on there and then see where would it go. So right there. Go back up to the other side, and then we'll actually make that one go out like that, because I think we can get a constructor right next to this. Oh, not quite, huh? Maybe we'll move that floor hole one back, and then we can fit it on. Been pretty good up until now, nailing the design. But so we will go and move that floor hole this direction. And let's see if we can get our constructor in here like that. Put our lift down here on this end, and let's just see if this will work, because sometimes it won't. Doesn't like the belts going this close. Yes, that is a problem. All right, that one's not gonna work either. Do we have room to move it over one more? I think we do. Okay, so let's do that. All right, a little bit trial and error, a lot bit trial and error when it comes to doing blueprints. Okay, like 5th tries of the charm. Hopefully. Put your lift in here. Now, this should be good when it comes to belting. Yes. Okay, there we go. Now we have our wire in and ready to go. And then we just need to belt this wire around here, and we will just bring it out because we have the room now. Ended up having quite a bit of extra room on this design. I wonder if you could actually squeeze more machines in here. I'm sure somebody probably could. I feel like there's definitely room for one more constructor up here somehow. But once you start getting more machines, the belt work is already a little bit complicated to get everything in without crossing and clipping, and maybe we could figure it out. I think these floors are probably about as full as you could get and still not clip the belts. But I feel like we could definitely have fit another constructor up here. So made our lives a little easy down here, actually. Not too bad at all. We got the space, so we might as well get this lined up well. Then we go to the middle, back 2, and you're good to go. All right, let's make sure we have our recipes on. We got computer. We have, this is cable, using our wire coming down from here, and this still has that weird color bug. And let's just make sure we have our recipes. Here we have our wire. So we got our circuit boards on, copper sheets are on, screws are on. Oh, iron ingots. That would have been a tough one to forget. That would have stopped things very quickly. And then copper alloy ingot. We're going to go put this down in the world here in a minute, but for now I'm going to save this one so we have a copy of it to use without power shards and give us 1.5 computers per minute. So to get the full output of our manufacturer, we're going to have to use some power shards to overclock, but we can do it. It's going to take quite a few, but we'll see however many we need. The main reason we need power shards is because we need a lot of circuit boards and we need a lot of copper sheets. These 3 assemblers make 22.5 circuit boards per minute, and we need 25 per minute. So we just need to overclock one of these to make it make 10 per minute, and then that will give us enough. So we'll do it to the first one. In fact, I'm just going to type it in here. It's much easier than trying to guess the percentage. So there we go, 10 per minute. If you didn't know that, you can type these values in and it will go to that. All right, so that has 10 per minute. These two have 7.5 and 7.5, so that gives us the 25 that we need. So there's one shard. We also need 130 screws per minute, so we need a little bit of a power shard down here. A little bit of a power shard. We need a few power shards down here. Wish we could use fractional power shards. And then, oh, we didn't put our recipes on here. Cast screw. So between these two machines, they make 100 screws per minute, and we need to make 130. So we need to put power shards in here, and we need more than one because 150 is 75. So now we need another one, and then we can just type in 80 per minute here, hit enter, and so it'll adjust our clock speed to give us our target 80 per minute. So there's 2 power shards there. And then the last thing we need to overclock, and what we really have to use the most, is copper sheets. We need 50 copper sheets per minute, but these 3 constructors only do 30 per minute. So we're really gonna have to kind of jack these things up here with power shards. So we do this one and we go all the way, that's 25 per minute. So now we have 45 per minute, 10 there, 10 there, 25 here. So now we just need an additional 5 here. So let's go into this one, and we just need 1 power shard, and 150% gives us the 5 more that we need. So there's 3 more power shards there. So we have 3 power shards there. We have 2 power shards there, and then 1 power shard here, which gives us 6 power shards that we need to get up to our full production of 2.5 computers per minute. All right, let's go try this thing out in the wild and see how it does stacking 2 of these in a row to make 5 computers per minute. I will see you out in the field in just a sec. We're here in the Rocky Desert to try out my blueprints, and first I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my Patreons. I truly appreciate your guys' support, and if you want to join them supporting me on Patreon, check the link in the description. You'll get exclusive access to my saves and my blueprints. If you don't want to join them, that's okay too. I just gave you step-by-step instructions on how to make this blueprint. All right, let's give this a try. The key to putting down blueprints is to make sure you put them down in the right orientation, and this one is good to go. Then we'll put another blueprint right here and see how that lines up with that same side like that. We can put it down like that, and I'll show you how we hook them together. And so all you need to do is grab the belt here, grab the belt here, and then grab the belt right here, and then this one here. And you can do the same thing on the other side. And then all you need to do as well for the power is just hook up one of these to the other, and then you're good to go. And to hook up the thing to the power in general, just pick one end, pick any of these, and then you're good to go. They're all attached together. Now everything in the blueprint should have power. If you go in, there's no materials yet, so they'll all have yellow bars on their lights, but it looks like that is the case. We'll find out here in a second. And so we need iron in the bottom one, copper here, and plastic up here. And here is our iron. We'll start putting that in. And this is going to be a little rough and tumble because I'm actually going to take this down. This is just for demonstration purposes. We have our copper right here. We'll hook that up. Then I have some plastic in this storage container, and then we'll just hook that up right there. And there are inputs with copper, iron, and plastic. And we'll see if these things are all working. We have green bars. Excellent. And that's excellent to see. On the iron, we have our overclocked screws right there. That's going well. That's all looking good. This is yellow because the iron just hasn't worked its way down here on the manifold. So that's good to go. We're making some right there. So it's coming down here, just not filling up. So let's look on the second floor. We have our circuit boards. Aha, I see. This isn't quite working here, is it? We need to do a little emergency surgery here because you see this lift right here is not picking those up off that splitter. But the exact same setup down here works like a charm. That's grabbing all the copper that it needs to go into that foundry. See, the difference is because we built on this roof, the height of where the splitters and mergers are slightly off. So you can see this is actually slightly too high to grab the stuff out of this splitter. So we're gonna do a little emergency surgery to this blueprint. I'll go back up and fix these before I post them for my Patreons, of course, so they will work right away. But this is the type of thing that you run into building a blueprint because you can't test it while you're building it. So let me fix it. I think I know how. This is the problem with the machines, not the splitters. They're all on the right height. So how do we fix this with the machine? And if I put down these foundations here, then we can always switch back to these roofs so it doesn't clip. And we're gonna take out this machine and put it back down right where it was. If that is flat, then we are good to go, which it is. Okay, we will just do that. We will put our lift on, and now it should work. And then since this is a new machine, we need to put the recipe back on, and that is a circuit board. And that's making circuit boards. Okay, sweet. So that is the solution. So all this does clip through down here, and I don't really like that. So let's see if we can take this out and put the roof back in and to see what it looks like. I think it should be fine. If you look at this, if you highlight the hitbox of the machine, you can see that little bar that sticks out down there in that area right there. It sticks down, that actually goes into the foundation when you're laying them on normal foundations. When you put it on a roof, it actually sits on top of that rather than going into the foundation. And so that is the problem. You can actually see it right there of that constructor sitting on the foundation. So now I have at least figured out the source, and you can see how the roof sits a little bit higher. And I figured out the source of why those things are a little bit off, so I can fix that in the future. Despite that little hiccup, we have achieved victory. We have a manufacturer at its full rate of production, producing 2.5 computers per minute in one single blueprint. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Until next time, I'm DrLootCrate, and stay stoked out there.